It's time for your second dose of video game news this week in the new and improved version of News Trash, so let's get into this. Hi, I'm Prob, and welcome to News Trash here on the Geek Show, your regular look at the more interesting news bits that have been happening in the world of video games over the last few days. And I say last few days instead of a week because this is the new and improved version of News Trash, which is going to be a lot more regular to keep you more updated with all of the latest happenings. We're going to be so regular, it's going to be like having healthy exercise and a high-fiber diet. So let's get into this. Kicking things off this week is a rumour. Now, we do like a good rumour around here. Mind you, who isn't partial to a little bit of gossip? There is a possibility that 2K may be investigating avenues to take over the FIFA franchise from EA. Now, if everyone remembers, just last month, EA put a statement out saying they were reviewing their license agreement with FIFA, the governing body of football, while FIFA said they were open to working with new video game companies. The heart of that is that FIFA are demanding way more money than EA want to pay for the license. So Take-Two might be in the running. We don't know. It's still a rumour. Moving on to something a bit more solid, Nintendo have announced that the unexpected level of success of the Switch has enabled the company to invest in new business opportunities, including an $880 million expansion of their game development capability. In the latest financial results that have been released, the Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa, he said that the Switch business had exceeded what Nintendo expected, and so they basically divvied up a bunch of funds. They're putting $880 million into expanding their game development, which could mean some real top quality games for the Switch. Nintendo are also putting another $440 million into growing their non-game entertainment software assets, such as movies, like the new Mario Brothers movie, the CG one, and the possibility of a separate Donkey Kong movie starring Seth Rogen. You can find out more about that in the previous episode of News Trash. In addition to all that, though, Nintendo are investing $2.6 billion, and that's going to go into building a foundation for maintaining and expanding relationships with consumers via their Nintendo accounts. The idea is that Nintendo accounts can serve as the foundation for providing consumers with better experiences and better services. I'd be interested to see how they're going to apply that. But part of me is thinking that it's going to be something that is similar to the services offered by things like Apple in their closed environment, or possibly, is it Chi-Chi over in China, or QQ as we call it, and how that has all sorts of multiple services added to it. Moving on, Square Enix have had to tighten their belts a little bit recently because Outriders and Nier Replicant didn't sell as well as maybe they'd hoped, and also there's the Marvel Avengers thing. So yeah, they haven't really had a good time of it on the financial front recently, but that's not the interesting part. Square Enix have touched on the prospect of NFTs and blockchain in games. Now, for those of you who don't know what blockchain is basically the foundation of Bitcoin. And NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They are basically unique and non-interchangeable units of data that are stored on a digital ledger, and they can be sold as a unique piece. So if you did a piece of art that was an NFT, that would be the only piece of that art on the internet, allegedly. I'm still not sold on NFTs, but Square Enix seem to be looking into the possibility of adding NFTs and blockchains into games. I'm curious how they're going to do that, because they're not the only ones investigating that. The CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, has also touched on the subject of NFTs. He believes that digital collectibles will be important parts of gaming's future. I am personally curious how this is all going to work with NFTs. Unique trophies, unique items are something that I want to see in video games for a while. You can find out more about my thoughts on video games by going and watching our other series, Impossible Mission, where we talk lots about video games. Anyway, moving on, Devolver. Now, Devolver have recently bought Dodge Roll, who are the developer of Enter the Gungeon, Nerial, the studio behind Reigns, and Firefly Studios, who are the makers of the Stronghold series. But that's not the big news for them. The big news for them is that Devolver are also now a publicly traded company, and they floated on the London Stock Exchange with a valuation of $950 million. To make things even more interesting, Sony have apparently bought something like a 5% stake, or so it is rumoured at the moment. They haven't confirmed exactly how much, but Sony have apparently bought a stake in Devolver. Maybe it's a situation like Tencent and Epic, maybe it's something different, we don't know. We'll find out more and keep you updated. Anyway, on the last episode of News Trash, we mentioned that Niantic were closing Harry Potter Wizards Unite in January of 2022 for various reasons. Meanwhile, over in China, Harry Potter Magic Awakened, which is published by NetEase, has made $228 million in its first 2 months. Now, it made more money in its first month of launch than Hogwarts Mystery and Wizards Unite combined. So, just to give you some idea of how much money we're talking about, Hogwarts Mystery came out in April 2018, made $342 million over its lifetime. Wizards Unite came out in June of 2019, and it's made $39.4 million, and this is all dollars, with $4.1 million of that being made in 2021. I'm actually curious as to what the difference is between these games, so maybe I'll look into them and let you know. Moving on to another game from China, and we are talking about the biggest game in the world. And no, it is not Minecraft. No, it is not League of Legends. No, it is not even Final Fantasy XIV, as much as I love that game. And it's not World of Warcraft or Lost Ark or any other MMO. It is the Chinese MOBA, Honor of Kings. Apparently, it's getting a live service open world spin-off, and I'm actually really curious about this, because this news comes by way of Kotaku. They've said that Honor of Kings World is going to be following in the vein of Genshin Impact. It's going to have a live service component, a global launch, and locales, and a narrative based on, or at least inspired by, Chinese mythology. I'm actually looking forward to this, because I do like Genshin Impact. I think it's a cracking game. And Honor of Kings has really caught my interest because of all of its mix of Chinese mythology and Chinese legends. So I am really curious about this. Just a few bits to round things off this week. Konami have delayed eFootball's proper launch until spring of 2022 and cancelled the controversial £33 premium player pack, and they've also said that they promise this wait will be worth it. Well, given the problems that eFootball has had with character models and all sorts of glitches and bugs and all sorts of things like that, I'm sure if you search the internet you'll find some of the funnier ones and some of the more disturbing ones, because some of those images are nightmare fuel, for want of a better word. So yeah, maybe this is a delay that they needed to put in, but why couldn't they do this at the beginning? Instead of launching when they were going to launch, why not just look at it and say, we need to delay this, and delay it until spring 2022? Just say, the game's not finished, it's fine, we'll wait. Anyway, another game that's been delayed is the new Marvel game by Firaxis, which is basically Marvel's version of XCOM, I suppose. According to a Twitter post, the creative director Jake Solomon and the senior franchise producer Garth De Angelis released a joint statement and explained that the very tough decision to delay would be used to add more story, cinematics, and overall polish. If they're adding more content, and this is the reason for the delay, great. I, for one, have been looking forward to it. I'm a big XCOM fan, and I do like my Marvel superheroes. Solomon and De Angelis have said the decision did not come lightly. They decided to push their launch because they needed more time to make this the best game possible. Again, I'm okay with that, and I'm sure the majority of people will be okay with that. This is what we need more of in video games, communication between the developers and the consumers. If you tell us your reasons for something, most likely we'll be fine with it. Don't be scared of us, we don't bite much. Moving on to our final story, and this is one that we did mention in the old version of News Trash a while ago. GamesMaster, a classic video game based show from the 90s, is getting a reboot, which is going to be on E4, which is part of Channel 4, E4 being the hip and trendy, cool version of Channel 4 for all of the younger people. So it doesn't really fit in with my mid-40s lifestyle. I hate television. Anyway, E4, the new GamesMaster, they've released a trailer for it, and it's alright, I suppose, but it's not the GamesMaster from the 90s. And this isn't the first time this has happened. I will criticise this briefly, because they did exactly the same thing with Robot Wars. They brought back a classic show and basically sanitized the bejesus out of it. And the new GamesMaster, Sir Trevor McDonald, former newsreader, really like him. But there is only one GamesMaster for me, and that is Sir Patrick Moore. And anyone who grew up with GamesMaster, or anyone who's old enough to understand the humour of GamesMaster, will know exactly why he is the only GamesMaster. Sorry, Sir Trev. I think the world of you, but you're just too nice. Anyway, if you are curious about this new version of GamesMaster, then you can watch it on E4's YouTube channel from the 21st of November. Okay, so those are the more interesting things that happened in video games over the last few days. If you have any thoughts about any of the things that we've talked about on this episode, then leave us a comment below. If you want to find out more about what we do here at The Geek Show, we do have things on our channel, Impossible Mission, our sister show Trailer Trash, which is going to be out tomorrow, so do check that out and find out what games are coming out this week. You can also check out our Patreon, where we have some exclusive stuff, including our Director's Lottery. That's pretty much it for now. I will see you all again midweek with another episode of the new and improved version of News Trash. Until then, see you all later. Thanks for watching.